These are two of the three modular mountain bike helmets made by Bell, the Super 3R and the Super Air. The 3 Air retails at $225 while the Super Air retails at $275. For another $50 you could also opt for the Super DH. I didn't have one on hand today, but my buddy Caleb, the mountain bike frequent flyer, just put out a great review on it if you want to check that out, the link in the description. But today we're going to look at the 3R, which I've been using personally for a while now, and the Super Air. Both are reminiscent of a motocross helmet, but since we have to put a little more work into moving our bikes, these helmets have a lot of cutouts for venting. Because although the goal is to protect your head as much as possible, it's not going to do much good if you die of a heat stroke. If I had to pick based on looks alone, I'd probably go with the Super Air. I like the more square cutouts and hard lines in the design. It just looks faster, but looks definitely aren't everything, so let's talk about the features. Both are MIPS equipped, meaning they utilize an inner shell that moves freely from the helmet itself. Both also have a simple buckle closure and a float fit system to dial in a secure fit. Both feature X-static padding, which are quick drying and inhibit bacteria and mold growth because if you're riding hard, you're getting sweaty. The liner padding and cheek pads remove easily and are washable. Overbrow ventilation intake ports will also help with sweat and are featured on both models. Both helmets also allow the use of goggles. So what are the differences and why does the Super Air cost almost 25% more? It seems like the main differentiation is the spherical MIPS in the Super Air versus the standard MIPS in the Super 3R. In theory, the Super Air should be a bit safer, but in trying both of these helmets, I'm not really convinced. Both helmets I tried were size large. The 3R feels very snug, yet still comfortable. The Super Air though felt quite loose. I could tell after tightening it up that it was secured to my head well, but it seemed like the helmet had a lot more play, maybe due to the spherical MIPS. I guess this could be beneficial in a wreck, but it could also be more dangerous. I guess it would really come down to a case-by-case basis. No one accident is going to be just like another. I think if I were to be running the helmet without the chin bar, the Super Air would be the way to go. But with the chin bar, since there is so much play and the cheek pads are smaller and thinner, I would be concerned that the chin bar would hit me in the face if I were to take a hit to that part of the helmet. Therefore, I would opt for the 3R when running it full face. After about 6 months of riding with the 3R, I've only removed the chin bar a handful of times when it just gets really hot. It does get into the 90s here in North Georgia through July and August. I had two other significant complaints with the Super Air. The dial for the float fit system is something you will need to use every time you put on and take off the helmet, and on the Super Air, it is quite difficult to get to. You end up pinching your finger between the dial and the helmet every time you use it. This is just really sad to see such sloppy design on an almost $300 helmet. The other issue is the position of the GoPro mount. I will say I never use mine, and I think positioning your camera on top of your helmet just makes for really bad footage. I was able to install a chin bar mount on my 3R with a couple of zip ties and a GoPro mount, and it works flawlessly. Even so, if you were to use the mount on the Super Air, it is positioned much farther back than on the 3R. I'm not sure why they would do this, and if you could even get usable footage without getting a bunch of the helmet in your frame. I guess you could turn it around and get some good follow cam footage if you have someone riding behind you, but otherwise the built-in mount seems poorly placed. The Super Air only has 2 closures to remove the chin bar where the 3R has 3, but honestly I don't think it makes much of a difference and both are easy to remove with the helmet still on. You could even argue that more closures are better to avoid any mishaps. I did have one small problem with the Super 3R, which was that part of the float fit system broke after a couple months of use. I wish this had been designed a bit better, but I do think it is avoidable if you're sure that you're fully loosening it before you're removing the helmet. It still works fine, but I have to loosen the helmet all the way now before putting it on. It doesn't seem to have made the helmet fit any looser though, which is good. Between this and the fact that I slammed my head really hard into a tree, Bell was kind enough to replace the helmet altogether, free of charge. I think the helmet definitely saved me from a more severe concussion or even worse. Their customer service was very good, and overall I'm really happy with the 3R. We ended up getting one for my girlfriend too, and I would highly recommend it to anyone looking for a full face helmet in the $200 range. The Super Air on the other hand doesn't seem to be worth the extra money in my opinion. We did end up weighing both helmets as well, though at a difference of 20 grams, it's unlikely you would notice any difference. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or any thoughts, please drop me a comment. Be sure to like and subscribe to help support the channel and keep the content coming. Thank you, and I'll catch you next time.